We now want to have a conversation in studio on matters learning for children, specifically reading. A lot of children are using mobile phones, tablets, TV to just watch and watch and watch. How can we return the reading culture to our children? To have this conversation is Olivia Kimani, who is the Director in charge of Partnerships and Services Kenya at World Reader. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Karibu sana. Maybe if you could just give us an overview of reading, the reading culture for children, how it has changed over the years and what the gap is currently.
Well, thank you so much for that question. One of the problems, challenges that we're actually facing is that you wouldn't believe it, but around 64% of our children who are about the age of 10 years cannot read a single text with comprehension. That means we've got to the point where children are able to read words, but not necessarily understand the story.
Allow me to just stop you a little bit there. We would like to fix your sound. As we do that, remember, we are talking to Olivia Kimani, who is the Director of Partnerships and Services Kenya at World Reader, and we are talking about matters reading for children. There is a lot of the reading culture has changed among children and among adults as well. A lot of people are just consuming content from their mobile phones, from TVs, and not reading anymore. So World Reader is working to ensure that more children are reading, or the reading culture is inculcated very early on. We'd like to take a break. When we come back, this conversation continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. You are watching KBC Channel 1 and this is Biz Check. My name is Betty Kiptum. In studio, we want to have a conversation on matters learning for children, specifically the reading culture and how World Reader is doing that. And to have this conversation is Olivia Kimani, Director in charge of Partnership and Services Kenya at World Reader. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Betty.
Karibu sana. Could you just tell us what World Reader does?
So World Reader is an EdTech international EdTech NGO, and what we do is we provide free books to children between the ages of 3 to 12. And we also aim to empower parents, families, and communities so that they can be able to raise readers. So within this World Reader, we have an app called Booksmart. Booksmart is a wonderful, I wouldn't really call it a library, but for us it is like a mobile solution to parents. So within Booksmart, we have 3,000 books. You can get them in various languages, including Swahili and English. And it's like walking into a library. So we have a shelf for the children between the ages of 3 to 5, and then 6 to 8, and then 9 to 12. And Booksmart is really a solution. It's an app that's very lightweight, so that anyone who has got a feature phone or even a low-cost smartphone can be able to use it.
Right. So even as you provide this solution for people to read digitally, we have seen that a lot of children are consuming content, video content. You know, they are bombarded with video content that is sometimes really not educational from various platforms. How can we bring our children back to reading?
Yes, and that's actually what makes Booksmart very special. We feel that without parental engagement, then the child should not necessarily always have access to the phone. So Booksmart gives us an opportunity for a parent. The parent is the one who goes in and registers the child. And then they create an avatar. And you're able to, one is able to also decide what content the child is going to consume. For example, a child between the age of 3 to 5 is really a minor. So we want age-appropriate material that is in there. And Booksmart also enables the parent to look at the dashboard. So at the end of it, if they've read, first of all, they read with a child, or if a child is old enough to read on their own, they're able to check the dashboard to figure out, has this child been reading? What book have they been reading? How many minutes have they spent on Booksmart? And at the end of each reading activity, there's an exercise that both the parent or caregiver and the child have to do so as to ensure that there's a reading comprehension has taken place. So there's a lot of parental engagement in this. And everybody is awarded, and rewarded, both the child and the parent as well. Yeah.
Are you partnering with any educational institutions on this?
Yes, we've partnered actually with quite a number of different schools. Last year we had a project called Raising Readers, and we were working with a number of schools in low-income areas. And we are one of our biggest partners is Kenya National Library. Kenya National Library actually uses Booksmart as an additional resource because we discovered, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, I mean, brick and mortar could not help help our children. You literally had to find a way of educating kids while at home. So Kenya National Library used Booksmart, and they created reading clubs where parents were encouraged to meet together once a week online. And it's almost like a whole group of almost 100 parents with their kids having one bedtime story together using the app. Yeah, so it sort of encouraged us to think of that concept around forming communities that read together. Parents would love to help their kids, but they always say this, I've got no time, don't want to give my phone to a kid. But then we realize if we encourage them and empower them and even give them reading tips, we tell them just spend 10 to 15 minutes on one story with your child, and that's going to make a big, big difference.
In making a big difference, what is the importance of inculcating that reading culture early enough for a human being, even in their later years?
It's very, very important. A lot of research has gone into this, and many of these researches actually show that if you start reading, even just sounding out words, even when the baby is in your stomach, the child recognizes a lot of words the moment even as they speak, they can be able to create a full sentence. And the other thing that is important about early reading is the social emotional learning that they get. Right from an early age, they are very comfortable about who they are. They can already sound words, first of all, and we are also preparing them before they get to school. Imagine having a very, very confident child at age 5, yeah, by the time they are getting to school. So we prepare them in that way. So Booksmart, that's why you've seen we've gone really low in terms of age. We've started from age 3, but really I would say we should start from 0. Yeah, so long as you can read to your child, it's important for you to do so. So the brain broadens when they are exposed to different words and different languages as well. Yeah.
For a parent to support their child, they have to have interest themselves first, right? And it has been said that if you want to hide something from a Kenyan, put it in a book.
I've heard that one many times, yeah?
Yes. So that means that more Kenyans need to be encouraged to either grab a book, both virtually and physically, and just read. How can this be done?
You know, you've touched on a very important point. Many people come to me and tell me Kenyans do not have a reading culture, but I beg to differ, on that, because the thing is we do have a reading culture. The difference is that we read to pass an exam. If you notice what's going to happen here in December when all the results are out, every community will be out there celebrating the best child. That means we do want our kids to read, but what do we want them to do is to pass an exam. So what do kids do? They cram. To get or inculcate the love for reading, then we should encourage kids to read what they love and to read how they love to read it, not in terms of cramming. And that's why parental engagement is very important. Parents play with their kids. Actually, the first classroom is at home, usually. And the first desk is a parent's lap, yeah? So we are encouraging parents. We've noted one very unique thing about Kenya is that 63 million of Kenyans have got access to mobile. They're mobile they've got mobile phones, yeah? And they use around 42 million or so use their mobile phone to go into internet. And research also says that they use something like about 50 minutes to 1 hour on TikTok. So we are not telling parents to stop using TikTok or being on Facebook, but we are just saying replace just 15 minutes of that time. Using TikTok means you have data. So that usually tends to be another barrier. Many parents say, I don't have data. But they do have data to do something. So if they can replace about 15 minutes and actually read with their child, that 15 minutes will go a long way to help the child reading. But also what we do when it comes to Booksmart, we do not just give the library or the books to parents. We are going to communities and we are engaging directly with families. We are not necessarily going to schools. Every time you go to school, they say we've got our own curriculum. But when we engage with the parents and we demonstrate to them how easy it is to download Booksmart, how easy it is to use, and then we also show them the effect, even after 1 month, it has on their kids. Many of them are coming on board. So we are using WhatsApp groups. We are finding parents where they can be found. People are digital minded, and we also consider that the children, any parent of a child between the age of 3 to 12 is most likely to be a millennial or a Gen Z, early Gen Z. These are digital natives. So we are talking to them within the digital world. And they have also noticed that so long as they have this access, they're not so worried about to have money to buy books, or the only books in the house are for school curriculum. The child does not have a storybook. The parents actually find a way to read very quickly and efficiently. We also award and recognize them within the app. So the app itself, when a child completes reading a book, they get points. And then when they complete reading, doing an exercise, they also get points. Parents have got tips also that they can read. That some of the activities that the children have to do, they have to do with their parents so that they can get points. So just like, I'll quote Safaricom, just like Safaricom has got Bonga points, Booksmart has got points. Those points are redeemable. So that's how we are motivating parents. We realize, yes, recognition is key. Celebrating milestones is very key. And also the fact that they can actually see the progress the child is making. They don't have to wait for end of term, report. It's on the spot. So that is truly encouraging parents and caregivers to be involved. Yeah.
And when you talk about exposing children to reading books, you mentioned TikTok, and there's some information overload in terms of even the themes that these children are exposed to. And definitely reading books is one way to limit or just make sure that your children is consuming the right things, yeah?
Yes, true. So yes, it's a good diversion, I would say, from other things that they might be exposed to. It's also, we found that in some communities, for example, I'll give you an example of one program we are working on. It's called Mashujaa wa Kusoma campaign. It's a challenge. We've asked parents from July 12th all the way to October 12th to see if they can get their children to complete reading 25 books. Yeah? And we went to places where there's hardly any book in their homes, yeah? And we interviewed the parents. We just did a baseline. Do you have age-appropriate books? Well, the books, religious books are there, Bible, Quran are there, but nothing age-appropriate. So we asked them, what would you do if we gave you an opportunity to read 25 books by the end of 3 months? And in this community, we have children, especially in Kibra, who are reading at the level of, they've bypassed our target, reading 600 books.
Wow.
Because they've never been exposed to that number of books that they love. So parents have come back to us and say, wow, you know, I'm struggling with my child when it comes to the phone, yeah? Because they want time to read, and I give them that time. And then the parents also feel comfortable because the child can be reading while the parents are engaged in other activities. So yes, it's a very good way of making sure that the kids are using the time that they have to do what is right. Yeah.
I think it's quite an uphill task, considering you're competing with all these other digital platforms that are offering maybe sometimes overstimulating content. Yeah. So as we come to a close of this conversation, what does the future look like? What do you foresee happening in terms of inculcating a reading culture for children?
I think Kenyans, we're already there,
okay,
because we value books, but now we have to go to the next level. What kind of books do we value? How can we help children to be able to enjoy reading, not fear reading, enjoy reading? So the next steps for us is that to encourage reading routines. The way we do it is that we try and create challenges that make parents and children engaged. So as I've mentioned, Mashujaa wa Kusoma, at the end of, actually on Mashujaa Day, October 20th, we'll be awarding communities that have raised readers. We'll be awarding parents or families that have actually been able to motivate their kids to read. And we'll also be awarding children who've taken up that challenge and become the Shujaa. If we can do this regularly, every year, just the same way we have music festival, drama festival, if we can also recognize that a hero is someone who is able to liberate the mind as well, and books liberate the mind, then we are already starting on the next level of raising our children to be better readers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll give you 30 seconds to give me your closing remarks, please.
Okay. I would like, let's think about it. Imagine a world where every child has got an opportunity to dream and to think of a future beyond just where they are. And there's no other thing that can be able to transform you from your current problems than reading a book that actually shows you a better future or a better world. So I would like to encourage parents, caregivers, communities to come together, actually be change makers for these children. There's no other thing in this world that can raise a child from the debris or the basic or the ground to a higher level than actually reading. I don't know whether I'm past my 30 seconds, but I'd like to remind you of one person whom I've just met here. A lady who said she's a pilot, and it wowed me that at the time when people are thinking that maybe a child will never make it in life, that there are parents who made an effort to get this lady to believe that she can actually make it in life. So books are the things that open up these opportunities for us as well.
Books open up opportunities. Yeah. Thank you very much, Olivia, for your insights. And so Kenyans can access this app?
Oh, yes. It's free of charge to anyone who would like to have it. You just go to the app stores and you download it. And please join us in the Mashujaa wa Kusoma campaign. And please help us to raise more children as readers.
Raising more children as readers. As a mother of one, I hope to do that.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Olivia. That is Olivia Kimani, who is the Director in charge of Partnerships and Services Kenya at World Reader, talking about how to ensure that our children are reading at an early age to prepare them for the future. Remember, you can always set aside 15 minutes to just read with your child for them to have a better future. My name is Betty Kiptum. That is it for Biz Check. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Nancy Okwari is standing by with Kurunzi Mashinani. Goodbye.